Hello, welcome back to BSLIVE. In this video, I will be just going through all this new Blender 2.8 layout, and mostly I will be talking about the keyboard shortcut. So I think I have already installed the add-on by Jayanam. So if I didn't do that, let me find it again. Add-on viewer. It's probably not here. I will install the add-on. I'll go to downloads and gonna sort it by date. Gonna try to find, okay, this one, Shortcut Viewer by Jayanam. Once that's enabled, we should actually be able to see the shortcut viewer in here. So I can start the shortcut viewer. Now if I press left mouse button, middle mouse, you can see it on the left hand corner there. There is one gotcha. If I create something, the tool actually kind of hiding that the shortcut viewer. But anyway, let's have a look. Okay, this is the Blender 2.8 beta 1 or 2. Let's have Suzanne. I think the good place to start is that when you first start Blender 2.8, you decide with the inputs whether you want to use left or right. I'll try to get used with the left, and it's really good when you are actually doing modeling. If you come from other package, the old Blender users will like to have the right. And then this also Spacebar Actions. Tap spacebar for play, tap spacebar for tool, or for search. This is actually very good the way Blender developers have done this. They give you options. So by default, it's going to be left and play. So when you hit spacebar, it's going to be play, and it's actually really good for animators and for maybe if you use grease pencil a lot. Using right mouse button now to drag this. Normally you use left, but that's okay. That's, I think, not much of a problem. So let's go back to the preference. Spacebar for tools, however, this is also really good for 3D modeler. And yeah, that's comes really handy when you go, if you go, let's try, I'm gonna put a cube, Shift A, and then I'm gonna jump into this guy. But there's also one thing to remember. There's this tab for pie menu and then extra shading pie menu items. That's also something that comes in handy. I'm gonna hit tab. Now we got pie menu. I'm gonna switch to edit mode. Okay. And here, when you are working in here, and I set up my space bar so it displays this tool or operations, which is basically all of this. So you can sort of hide it. So N and T is to hide the left and right panel. Basically a lot of options given to you. Also, when you are modeling, right, like I said, spacebar become what you want to use when you use, so you don't need to go to the left, or you can remember the shortcut, of course. One thing I learned with Blender 2.8, this is 1, 2, 3. You can see there, that's to switch between vertices, edges, and faces. That's also something that's gonna come in handy. So anyway, Blender has so many options with the keyboard hotkeys, especially. I used to model using Maya, and then I have to admit in Blender I haven't been modeling that much. But this 1, 2, 3 is really good. It reminds me of Maya, and it's actually it makes it really natural for me to now to model this way, because you can easily like go to you tap 2 and then you go to edges, and then you use the left mouse click button and select this edge ring, for example, and then you want to add a bevel, tap spacebar and then you add a bevel. I think that's how you do it. And there's a lot actually with modeling, even like have to learn all this adding segment. Oops. So this doesn't seem to update what I already have, but I can, okay, seems to work now. Slightly different. Let me undo that. So let's say I want to now work with the face and then maybe try to make something, maybe like a teapot. Let me save very quickly. Teapot. So I don't want to go too much detail with the modeling. I want to cover most of the shortcut basically. So E, of course, still extrude. And remember the command click 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 or control click click click. That's gonna work with a right click now. So that's interesting. And gonna try to connect these two. F doesn't work, so we need to bridge. So I tap spacebar. Spacebar doesn't have the option to find the tool. Command F. So bridge edge loop. I think that works. And yeah, actually interesting method there. This is probably some kind of a weird looking teapot, but I'm pretty sure there's something like this out there. Some kind of design teapot. Maybe, yeah, anyway, that's a teapot, right? Let's go through every buttons now. So I'm tapping 1, 2, 3. There's seems to be nothing up there at the moment. I might be wrong. Maybe there's like control 1 or control 2. Okay, control 1, 2, 3, of course, that's a subdivisions. We can leave that alone for now. Tab, we've done that already. Tab with pie menu will give all these options, so you can go very quickly. Object mode, edit mode, object mode, edit mode. What is the other thing? Like weight painting, vertex paint. If you don't know what it is, give it a try. Like weight paint, of course. Allow you to paint weight. Okay. Probably still it needs some tweaking. There seems to be a bug there. Is it a bug or no? It's I'm working in a low res. So that's the weighting, right? Because you can, with the weight, you can use a displace modifier and then use the weighting. Let me try that again. So weighting, tab, paint weight, just do the painting, where you want the displacement to happen. So you can have that. That's pretty cool. And vertex paint, texture paint, of course, that's related to what it says. Object edit, that's where you want to do a lot of switching. Sculpt mode is really, really cool. It lets you to do sculpting. There's this new option called simplify. I don't know where to find the auto retopo. So it should be there here somewhere. Yeah, where's that option? Simplify, of course, does simplifying. If I enable auto retopo, should be here somewhere. Well, anyway, don't want to go to that too far. Again, go back to where I should be talking about. Is the keyboard shortcut. Q, quick favorite. Okay, that's actually become a new menu. Okay, that's interesting. W is interesting. You see, if I type it many times, you can see it's changing between a select circle, select lasso, and then normal select, and then box selects. So box 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 different modes to select an object in Blender. If you are new, again, I'm kind of new with all this. So W, this is box select. W again, this is selecting using this circle, or yeah, select by circle. Doesn't seems to work. Maybe there's a bug. And lasso. Okay, lasso is handy. But I hit A lot. That's to select all and deselect all. So that's a good shortcut right there. And then let's continue. E. What is E? E. E doesn't seem to be doing anything, I think. Let me hit escape. Don't worry about E. R is rotate, right? Rotate like this, or double tap R. I use that a lot. This is in object mode. T to hide the left panel, N to hide the right panel, of course. Y, there's nothing on Y. U, okay, I think I turned off Jayanam Shortcut somehow. So U does nothing. I insert, okay, keyframe. This is for animators. Keyframe location rotations or location rotation scale. So I keyframe. O is for proportional editing objects. If you have multiple objects, and then this is becoming really handy. So Alt option R, reset the rotations. Let me try this. So you have a bunch of objects. I'm gonna select this using box selects, and then with the O, this is proportional editing on and off. I should be able to grab it and have some kind of proportional thing happening. It's okay, I need to select just a single object and then select. I can have this kind of result. This is very cool, by the way. This is a really Blender thing. So that's all on and off. And then you need to kind of work out with the grab. Okay, G is grab, R is rotate, and then S is scale. That's Blender thing. And then when you're doing the scaling, for example, you have this proportional working on and off. You can tap O. No, you can't do that when you're already here. So that's O. If the O is enabled, you can have that. P does nothing. So there's a lot, still have a lot of shortcut there. That's interesting. I just did something and it snapped. So we also have this, all these options. Orthographic perspective, toggle, and then this is toggle the camera view. Okay, if we have camera, I guess it's gonna jump into the camera. And if you are inside the camera, of course, you can lock the camera and then kind of frame your 3D, and then you can unlock it. Now you're outside the camera, you can toggle between the camera view and the normal 3D view. There's also this hand. Okay, this is kind of like grabbing the view, zoom in, zoom out. So you don't need to, you just use your mouse to do this. And this is all these options. This guy can be smaller maybe. But anyhow, let's continue. Left right bracket does nothing. A, select all, double tap, toggling. S, of course, scale. D, have I tried D? What is D? Nothing. F. G is grab, of course. H is hide. So how to get it back? Alt H. Oh yeah, okay. Hiding H. Okay. J does nothing. K nothing. L nothing. So there's still a lot of room there. Z is handy actually. Z allow you to go to wireframe. See, the wireframe looks really good. Z, you can go to switch to look depth, toggle overlay on and off, render cycles, or EV, solid, normal, toggle X-ray. X-ray is also really cool. That's also can be accessed by going through all this. Toggle overlay. Overlay has a lot of things. Oh, by the way, there's also one thing. If you are in using the cube, I think, and then you go inside to edit mode, you can overlay and use the face center. Turn on face center. That's really handy, really handy if you want to select the face by the center. If you come from Maya, that's usually how it looks like. And okay, back to this guy, H, J, K, L, Z. Okay, Z, wireframe. All this is really handy. You go through all of this. The look depth is very very cool actually. There's a lot on this covered by Blender Developer YouTube channel. What I really like, of course, is just random and matcap. That's my favorite. You can actually create a look depth, I believe. Create your own look depth material. But look at, I like the cavity look. This looks very interesting. All right, so where were we? Z, X. X is of course delete. If you are selecting an object and you want to delete, it's X, and to confirm. Okay. C and B is actually, C is actually the circle select. I'm still using the lasso, but like I said, the W is the toggle. Normally you want it to normal select. C is circle select, and B is box select. Click outside deselect. Okay, that's new. So N, T, M is new. This is new. Collection. Normally we have layers. Now we have collections. Maybe if we have we select all this guy and then tap M, new collections. Let me call it grid or arrays. So we have a collection called array. You can turn on and off. The rest of them are here. We can select all these and then M, move it to the scene collection, so that you put it outside of any collections, I think. So they become like individual. You can toggle select on and off. So if you turn off, you cannot select over here. That's really handy. So I think the layout and UI, really Blender Developer has done really good job in this case. I really thankful for that. There's a lot of things new, of course. If you're a long-time Blender users, even this icon still it takes time to get used to it. Now you can kind of click and drag. That's nice. You can right click and put it to the right. This is a little bit more kind of prettier, I guess, and natural, but some people like it on the left anyway. So this is handy. You go to the right and then you go through all this property panel. This is for the output, render, layer path, scene, world. object. Okay, this is weird. Constraint modifier, that's a cool one. Yeah, so there's a lot of shortcut of definitely. This is also new. This is I'm using this comma and period. On your keyboard, you might look at it. Okay, this is like a smaller than or greater than, but this is actually comma and dots. You can. This is it in according to this. So if you're moving things around, basically, it's something to do with this guy, the transform tool. Transform tool, whether you want it to be local or global. See, this local. It's kind of makes sense when once you use it. That's global. Basically, that's what you need most of the time. And the other one is, this is dot. Active element median points 3D cursor. This is something to do when you're selecting objects and then you want to rotate where you want the pivot to be. So the pivot is normally 3D cursor. That's what you want. 3D cursor comes in handy, of course. I think 3D cursor, since we have left click now, left click and right click stuff happening, where is the 3D cursor shortcut? It's gonna be shift right click. Oh yeah, shift right click. Shift right click is where you put the 3D cursor. So if you have a bunch of objects selected and then you specify the pivot based on the 3D cursor, that's really handy, right? Yeah, there's a lot of things to relearn. You have to empty your cup. So what else? Let me try. Actually, this one, there's one more thing. Let's switch the pivot to the individual origins. Okay, and with the object selected, if I tap this, that's the what do you call it, like local view. Seems to be hiding everything else. So that's very handy. Slash. Is it slash? No, yeah, it's slash, not backslash. Backslash something else. What else can we try? Maybe grease pencil. Grease pencil monkey. So you see, if you have shift right click and then you place a grease pencil or place any, you create any objects, it's gonna place it there. Super handy. And okay, Suzanne, what are we gonna do with Suzanne? This is gonna be a bonus thing. Oh, by the way, the layout. Okay, I didn't talk about this much. This is like all different kind of layout you can use. Layout is the default, but you can create yourself, like a new one. I'll create a new workspace. I just duplicate current, I guess, and then call it sphere chalk. Sphere chalk nodes. Okay, so you can switch between layout of this layout and sphere chalk. In this case, what I'm doing here, I'm gonna generate just random vector and BMS viewer. I think the nodes workflow, if you are using Blender cycles, material, etc., or in the future if you have like also Blender everything nodes, you will be working with nodes a lot, all these nodes, and then connecting the nodes, connecting the noodle. And this is also kind of like a working place. And then with the nodes, you use Shift A to create the menu. Spacebar doesn't have much, but right click Now we have a context selected, like a context sensitive menu. This is also the modes that I work most of the time in my channel, because it's really handy. So in our case, we want to do something with Suzanne. So, okay, that doesn't work yet. Select Suzanne, Suzanne Grease Pencil. Parent it into this guy, Shift select, Control P. Now we can instance this guy. So where is instancing this guy? Vertices, faces. Okay, it doesn't work. We need to select this instance. Oh, doesn't work either. Is it really parented? No. Select Suzanne. Select this guy. Control P. Okay, that works. Now it's gonna be slow because my computer doesn't have CPU or GPU. I'm using Mac. This kind of thing, like instancing, probably not very good with Mac. So it doesn't have the normal. We can turn on the normal, and then with sphere chalk we can also turn on smooth shade calculate normal. Okay, so that's pretty much how you do it. That's basically covering most of Blender kind of like workspace. You know, like you're working with modeling, you might work with nodes. I didn't even cover the material nodes like cycles and EV. You work in the modeling. Okay, this is modeling, right? The layout for modeling that they suggest. There's also sculpting, UV editing, texture painting, shading, animation, rendering, compositing, scripting. Blender has so many things. It's probably kind of, it might be daunting for new Blender users, but this is actually really powerful, and Blender developer really have done a really good job. Oh, this is for typing. Yep, that's for scripting, of course, compositing, rendering. It doesn't have video editing yet. Shading, look depth, shading. This is like, it's really, Blender has become a really good, like in terms of layout and UI, it feels more professional. Where's the grease pencil options? Is it animations? Oh, the grease pencil layout seems to be disappear. So this is the normal layout. Let me reset to normal layout. Okay. Yeah, what I really like to work with, of course, is the nodes, workspace and layout. I like doing instancing. Maybe at some point, Blender everything nodes should be more about like particles and dynamics. There's gonna be more like complex. It's a different area. If it comes with lots of Blender artists are really good with modeling and also with rendering and lighting and compositing. Lots of Blender artists seems to be really good with that. Animators also, animation and rigging. I like animation and rigging and nodes. That's probably what I'm should be good at. But modeling, sculpting, shading also something I really like. Shading, animation, and nodes basically. So yeah, that's pretty much my rambling. How long did I go? Almost half an hour. Hopefully this is useful. Just let me know what you think. Maybe I'm missing something. Like with the sculpting, I still couldn't find where's that options to auto retopology. I kind of missed that. I need to go through all this tool again at some point. Okay, dynamic topology. It's there. It's there all along. It's very interesting. How to turn this on? It's better idea. There's a sculpting layout there, but if we select an object and we go to tab W, oh, is it W? Is it Q or is it Z? Oh, it's actually tab. Okay, tab, sculpt mode. We get this layout anyway, so probably don't need sculpting. Dynamic topology. Okay, we need to toggle it. Right? Yeah, this one I really like. Dynamic topology. It's adding details as you work on it. You can go even smaller detail. It's really cool. And then there's also simplify. Oh, because I have a simplify tool, it seems to be simplifying. It's not like drawing detail. This is one of the coolest Blender features, I think, for sculptor. For sculpting, I think you need a good GPU. Serious, it's kind of slow on my Mac. It can be faster. This is still better. Simplify is simplifying based on the distance, I think. It's pretty cool. Anyhow, suddenly I jump into sculpting. I shouldn't be here. Should be just back to object mode. So I cover most of the stuff. Blender 2.8 beta. It's pretty stable now compared to Blender Alpha. But I think the Blender developer really have done a good job. The developer as a designer as well, these icons maybe can be improved, maybe adding some colors to match the Blender logo. Maybe this needs to be in color, I don't know. Splash screen. Yeah. Overall, I'm really impressed to see this happening like for the last few years. While I'm still using 2.79 a lot with the nodes. But this is really something. And with this actually, for me, doing modeling and maybe rigging, maybe I'll get into it again at some point. It's become a lot easier because like I said, my background was using Maya and Houdini. This now going to edit mode and then tap 1, 2, 3. It's become like a lot easier to work with. Oops, I just tap extrude, right? And it disappeared. Maybe that was a bug, but I was in edit mode. I was selecting a face, tap E, extrude. Oh yeah, Blender probably doesn't like the grease pencil. That's why it's slow. I have a instance of Suzanne, and I also have Sverchok. That's why. Okay, now it's a lot faster. Edit mode. Yeah, this become really easy. Actually, very cool. Select the, see, double tap, double click, selecting the edges. That's really cool. And bevel. Where's the bevel? Okay, the tool is, what was it? Spacebar, bevel. Very nice. Definitely very nice. Good job right there. And then a lot of tools that I haven't used either, like poly build and then all this kind of thing. Insert faces. Extrude region actually have this thing now. If I'm in face mode, this is also kind of handy. Oh, anyway, I have to go into the details for each mode. But there you go. That's, I think, covering all of Blender features in 2.8. I'm very impressed, and hopefully this is useful for anyone. Just play around with it, give it a try, and yeah, you will be surprised by how much Blender offers as an open source tool. All right. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.